At lunchtime the next day, everybody in class was talking about Rena's disappearance. Right. Um, she took off. She went to her hiding spot. A bunch of stuff happened. She was visited by a bunch of people. And then, she just left. Which is pretty crazy. We were all worried about her safety, but I kept a safe distance from everybody else.
レナはどこに行っちゃったんだろうね。鬼隠しにあったなんて、いい加減なことを言ってる連中もいるよ。まったく。
ケイチさん、今日は元気がありませんでしたよ。みー。
Satoko and Rika noticed something odd about my attitude.
俺は、
I couldn't sleep at all last night because of what Rena told me. Friends don't keep secrets from one another. That sentence bit into my heart, and I couldn't sleep because of the pain.
ミオ、サトコもリカちゃんも話しておきたいことがある。
レナに関すること？
いや、そうじゃない。俺自身についてのことなんだ。
I decided to tell them about it because they were my friends, but I didn't know what I was expecting to change by doing so. They might despise me. Was there any benefit in telling them? No, there wasn't. I knew that for sure. But I still wanted to tell them about it, just because I thought it helped it helped heal the pain I was feeling.
ケイチさんのことですの？
ああ、ちょっと真面目な話なんだ。聞いてほしい。俺が引っ越してくる前のことなんだ。当時の俺は勉強しか脳のないやつだった。
I learned the tricks of the game called studying at my cram school. I enjoyed the sense of superiority I felt by getting good grades. I kept studying just because I wanted to look down on the other students. When my grades got better, my parents got happier, and my teachers praised me. I felt good. It was fun to look down on the students who were good at running, dodgeball, or swimming. That was the only reason I kept studying. Before I knew it, not only was I top of my class, but I was top of my school. So I started to think I was the most important student there. I looked down on the kids who were playing in the schoolyard during lunch break. I enjoyed feeling a sense of superiority to them in my insignificance. The more I studied, the better everybody expected me to do. They started to place high hopes on me. They expected me to go to the best school in Japan. I flattered myself in thinking I deserved to go to that school as well. But the fun went out of looking down on people, while the burden of studying didn't change a bit. My classmates stopped admiring my cleverness after a while, and my teacher started to push me to study more. All of a sudden, the fun had gone out of it. To begin with, I didn't even like to study. I had average reflexes. I was average in a fight. I was an average boy with nothing that really drew attention. So when I found something that I could use to get attention, I jumped on it. It happened to be studying for me, but if it was riding a unicycle or juggling, I would have done that too. When I realized I really didn't enjoy studying anymore, it got very boring. I was just a little boy who wanted to be praised when I did something better than everybody else. I finished all of my summer homework because my parents praised me for it, and I took charge of cleaning duties at school because my teachers praised me for it. So when they stopped praising me for what I did, I began to feel as though my life had no meaning. My parents used to give me an allowance that was proportional to how good my grades were, so I used to get a substantial amount of money for my age. I don't know if I had a natural interest in violence, or if I was looking for it because of my frustration at the time. I took an interest in BB guns, or I guess in this case they would be model guns, which I know they have in Japan, because in Japan it's kind of like mondo illegal to have a gun, like an actual gun, but you can have a model gun. Now, I assume by model guns they really do mean airsoft. I'm not 100% sure because I haven't looked into this subculture too much, but I know that they're called model guns instead. At first, I shot at cardboard boxes. It was fun. Being violent at pieces of cardboard relieved a lot of stress. Nobody blamed me for doing that. But soon, I started wanting to do something I should have never done. On the box that my BB gun came in was a warning label that read, "Do not shoot at people." Also, hey Moon, thanks for stopping by over on the kick side. That was when I thought about doing just that. Yeah, literally. When you're told don't do something, he's like, I'm gonna do it. Why did I do something I shouldn't have? I guess I was just immature. I wasn't interested in studying anymore, but I forced myself to do so anyway. My parents forced me to go to several cram schools. I was mad at them for that. I should have told them I didn't want to study anymore, but I didn't have the courage to do that. So I used my frustration as an excuse to do something cowardly. I shot at kids who were younger than I was with my BB gun. It gave me such a thrill. It felt so good to do something bad when I was so overcome with studying. Needless to say, I had no personal grudge against the kids I shot. As long as the kids passed through a deserted street, they met the requirements to become my target. I didn't mean to hurt them. I shot at them once or twice from a distance, that's all I wanted to do. But sometimes they didn't react at all because the BBs hit a thicker part of their clothes or something. I didn't like that, so I started to shoot until they noticed they were being hit. It inevitably escalated into a barrage of gunfire. I study a lot. I'm doing something good. So I deserve to do something bad to balance out the good I'm doing. It's so stupid, Keiichi. But he was like 10. Actually, no. That was fairly recent because he moved to Hinamizawa like pretty recently. Yeah, Keiichi no Kajima. That was the unbelievably selfish excuse I made. I thought I had a right to do things like that because I was suffering myself. I thought people who weren't suffering like I was deserved to be shot at and to get hurt a little. I was so selfish, so arrogant, and so immature. I was disgusted with myself. If I could have met myself at the time, I would have given myself a punch in the face so hard it'd knock out all of my teeth. They started to call it a series of attacks on school children. The principal of my school held a morning assembly to inform everyone about the case and to warn them to be careful when playing outside. I was laughing sneakily. The PTA issued a letter of warning and advised to take the safest way to and from school. Parents took turns watching kids when they walked between home and school in groups. The more serious it got, the more it reminded me of the excitement I first felt when my grades started going up. I was absorbed in that game I was playing. I didn't think I'd get caught someday. I didn't even think to stop doing it either. One day, I found a little girl who was walking down a narrow dark street all alone. She was a very small girl. I don't know if she was on her way to her friend's house or if she was running an errand. I didn't care which. It was careless of her to go out alone. The school had warned her not to. So, it was her fault. Just like always, I made a selfish excuse and attacked her. Some of the shots hit her in the back. She noticed she was being attacked by somebody. She turned around. It was a natural reaction. At that time, I didn't hesitate to rain hell upon her. So when she turned around, I was still shooting at her. Usually, when I shot at a kid, she cried in pain and ran away. But this girl was different. She thrashed around in excruciating pain, holding one of her eyes. When I saw her doing that, I realized what had happened right away. The BB had hit her in the eye. Until that moment, I didn't think about what would happen when a pellet that could easily go through a cardboard box hit an eyeball. Anyway, the girl howled in pain, and for the first time, I realized I had done something terrible. She saw me, so I couldn't take her to a hospital. I couldn't do anything about it, so I left her there while she was still screaming in pain. I wondered if she was okay, and I worried that she had lost her eye. I kept thinking about her. I didn't even feel like eating that day. I went to the bookshelf in our living room, snuck a medical book to my room, and studied the structure of the human eye. It was too late to make a difference, but I studied what kind of injuries would make a person lose their vision. I knew it wouldn't make the sin I committed weigh any less if I found out that she wouldn't lose her sight. But I couldn't sleep that night, and I suffered from a high fever. It wasn't my parents, my teachers, or the police who first punished me for what I did. It was my own body. Before dawn, I woke my parents up and confessed to my sin. They were shocked at first, but seemed like they understood the situation quickly due to my recent disobedient behavior and my interest in BB guns. My mom cried hysterically. My dad slapped me in the face till it swelled up. Before the sun came up, I turned myself into the police and accompanied by my parents. Satoko stared at me with a stunned expression. I deserved to receive that kind of look. What I did was very wrong and I needed to accept that.
それ本当ですの？
ああ、本当だ。今まで隠していて悪かった。
なんでそんなことを今頃になってわざわざ言おうと思ったわけ？
Mion asked me. Rika nodded in agreement.
本音から言うとさ、ケイちゃんどうしたのって感じかね。
まあ、そりゃそうだよな。
違うよ。そんなことわざわざ言い出す必要あったのかなってね。
いや、隠し事をするなんて仲間じゃないよな。俺はみんなのことを仲間だと思ってる。だからもう隠してなんかいられなかったんだ。
圭一はそれを僕たちに話して何を期待しているのですか？
Okay, Keiichi, you told us. Now what?
期待なんて別にないよ。俺はただ
許しが欲しくても僕にはあげられないのです。圭一が怪我をさせた人たちにしか。だから僕たちにそれを話しても何の期待にも応えられないのですよ。
Well, you can become a Catholic, Keiichi. You can go to church and atone for your sins. You can still be saved.
ミカの言う通りですわね。
That's so stupid.
潔いのは認めますけれど、そんなことを私たちに打ち明けてどうしたいって言うんですの？
But they're right. It's like, okay, thanks for confessing, Keiichi. We can't help you here. But thank you for letting us know that you shot at children because you were frustrated.
どうしたいってことはないよ。ただ仲間に隠し事は。
My friends looked annoyed by the sudden confession of my past. I took it as bitter medicine. I got what I deserved.
ケイちゃんさ、ちょいとここで質問なんだけどさ、仲間に隠し事ってしたらいけないわけ？
え？
ケイちゃんの論法だと隠し事をしないのが仲間みたいな話だけどさ、おじさんはそんなの嫌だね。
僕も嫌です。
Mion and Rika obviously disagreed with my statement, because they have something to hide as well, of course. Assuming this is still the Mion we're talking to, or assuming this is Shion. Sorry. Assuming Shion is in the basement and Mion is talking to us right now, then I can see why they would need to do this. Otherwise, it could be part of the Sonozuki family. It doesn't matter. Anyway. Satoko nodded, following suit.
言いたくないことを言わないで何が悪いわけ？人には話したくないことや辛いこと、悲しいこと、失敗したことや思い出したくないことがたくさんある。それを全部打ち明けないと仲間と呼べないんなら、私はそんな仲間はいらないね。
でもそれじゃあ。
圭一、打ち明けなくていいことと打ち明けなくてはならないことは違いますのです。罪は許しを得るために打ち明けなくてはならない。でも打ち明けて許された罪はもう打ち明ける必要はないのですよ。そうですわね。だって圭一さんはちゃんとおまわりさんのところに行って怒られてきたんでございましょう。それで償いをして許してもらえたなら、それで圭一さんの罪はおしまいですわよ。
自首してその結果を受け入れたなら、それでケイちゃんのお務めは終わりだよ。もちろんケイちゃんが罪の十字架を背負い続けることはとても大切なこと。二度と過ちを繰り返さないよう常に胸に刻み続けるのは正しいことだよ。でもね、それはケイちゃんが自戒することであって、打ち明けなくちゃいけないことではない。
These are very interesting points being brought up. And I mean, in a general sense involving ethics, sure. I mean, if you want to confess to having done something terrible in your past, and then if your friends still accept you, then, you know, if that's how you want to test them by being like, oh, by the way, I did this terrible thing, hopefully you still accept me as a person, then sure, I guess, right? But for the most part, if it's something traumatizing, like, yeah, like, you probably don't need to tell people about stuff you've done, unless it's like, I don't know, if you tell someone like, hey, by the way, I was a rapist when I was in high school, you should probably know this. That way these people can probably dictate whether or not they want to stick around a rapist. Or if you mention that you, like, kicked dogs or something when you were in high school. Or, I don't know, that you beat up children. Stuff like that. And maybe those are things you shouldn't tell people, technically. But, if people find out, it's stuff that will definitely ruin you, more than likely. So, it's a very interesting, I don't know, conundrum to be in. One thing to consider, though, is you have to remember that this is still Higurashi. While they do insert these moments into the story for, I don't know, dude, just so that you could have some relatability, there's always a layer to these things. And you have to remember, like, what is it? Like, they're basically all unanimously agreeing that, hey, Keiichi, you didn't need to tell us any of this, because friends can keep secrets from each other. And then it makes you wonder what kind of secrets they're keeping from us. That's what you have to remember. Because this is, like, Satoko, Rika, and Mion, quote-unquote, telling us essentially that they've done some really horrible shit and they're not going to tell us about it. And they're dismissing our, like, you know, confession by just being like, okay, well, thank you for telling us. We won't tell you the weird shit we've done.
そうですわよ。過去の恥ずかしい話なんかは私も内緒にしたいことがたくさんございましたよ。
Yeah, embarrassing, huh?
さとこは特にいっぱいいっぱいありますのです。私だけじゃございませんのよ。リカもですわよ。リカもですわよ。みーみーみー。
Satoko and Rika fooled around with each other like they always did. Mion looked at them and looked back at me.
今、サトコはとてもいいことを言ったと思う。ケイちゃんにはどの部分かわかる？
Did you pick up on it, player? She just said something that was very cryptic that you need to decipher now. I assume this line is is a double entendre, where it literally has two meanings of, hey, did you get it? You don't have to tell us any of this. And also, did you get it? We're hiding shit from you.
過去の話は内緒にしたいというところか？
Yeah.
違う。その次の部分。誰にだってあるってところだよ。無菌室の試験管の中で育った人間でもない限り、人の人生は試行錯誤の繰り返しだと思う。いいことも悪いことも、いろいろなことを繰り返して成長して、それで最後の最後に素晴らしい人間になれればいいんじゃない？いいことも悪いことも、すべてとても大切な経験なんだと思う。それは誰でも同じで、ケイちゃんだけじゃない。私にも、サトコにも、リカちゃんにも。いやいや、クラスの全員にも当てはまることなんだよ。
例えばみーはもっと昔は札付きの悪猫さんだったのですよ。にゃーにゃー。
まあ本当はあんまり言いたかないんだけどね。私から見ればモデルガンで闇討ちなんてかわいいもんだって。私なんかレンガとか投げつけてたよ。いやほんと。
And you also got into altercations with the police, which is also pretty fucking bad.
警察に何度お世話になったことやら。ダム戦争の最中はちょっとした留置場常連だったよ。いやいや本当に。
でも昔のことなのですよ。そしてそれを 圭一に言う必要はないのです。仲間であってもなのです。
仲間であっても。
私だってとても言えないような苦い過ちや罪がいくつもあります。でも言わないのは言っても仕方がないからですわ。
言って楽になるなら私たちは聞くよ。でもね、仲間だから言わなければならないなんてルールはない。むしろ仲間なら言いたくない過去を察してあえて聞かないのが本当の仲間なんじゃない？
それはそうだけど。
ケイちゃんが打ち明けて楽になったならそれでいいよ。私たちは今日の話をすぐにでも忘れる。それに今日の話を聞いたからケイちゃんとの接し方を変えるようなこともない。
圭一が前の町でしたことなんて今の圭一と何の関係もないのです。今の圭一が僕たちにとってかけがえのない仲間であるのなら、前の町理科の言う通りでございますわ。逆に前の町でどんなに善行を積もうともこちらに来て嫌な人だったなら前の町の善行なんかしたことじゃありませんわね。
ってことはさ、ケイちゃん、前の町での十字架はケイちゃんが密かに胸に秘めることであって、こっちでわざわざ口にする必要なんてないんじゃない？いや、仮に口にしてもだ。それでケイちゃんの味方を変える程度のやつだったら私はそいつの方を見下げるね。
過去が何だろうと今が素晴らしい人間であるならばどうして恥じることがございますの？もし過去の過ちを一生取り戻せなかったら私たちは聡子は過去にとても甘えん坊さんでした。それを後悔して今はこんなにも元気で頑張っていますのです。だから僕は今の聡子はとても素晴らしいと思いますです。昔どうだったかなんて僕は興味ないのです。理科。
Sorry, not to interrupt this. What the fuck is the point of this scene? Normally they don't drag this shit out. For like it's been like 6-7 minutes. And they keep talking about how it's okay to forgive your past self, how who you are now doesn't matter who you it matters more who you are now than who you used to be. Are they just trying to set up a huge alibi for themselves? Because I'm trying to like in my head I'm like, what the fuck is going on here? Do you remember the finale tomorrow is 5 hours long? So either some major shit happens and then there's like a huge clash between the entire friend group, or this is all just like setting up characters to make you feel nice and, you know, welcomed, so that when they fucking stab you in the back tomorrow, you know, it hurts even more. I don't know. It just feels weird to have a scene like this. Normally they don't drag it out this long. Normally they're like, hey Keiichi, it's okay. We appreciate your past. Like, we get it. Thank you for telling us about your past, but we care more about who you are now. Yeah, don't sweat it. Yeah, we're all here for you. We're all friends. And then Keiichi goes, you're right. Thanks, everyone. And then they kind of hug or something, and then they move on. But it's been going on for a long time, and they keep repeating the same, hey, I mean, you wouldn't judge us for what we did, right? Why would we judge you for what you did? And they keep repeating it a lot, and it's very fucking suspicious.
ケイちゃんだってどうよ。例えば私が留置場常連の札付きだとしたら私への見方を変える？変えないでしょ。私は私。
いや、友達も死んでいる。
いつものように楽しくふざけ合える関係は何も変わらないでしょ。それが仲間ってもんだもん。
信じる。友達も信じる。What? What? What's going on? Miona's trying to cheer me up with an... So Keiichi sees it too! Miona's trying to cheer me up with an encouraging smile on her face, but her expression became distorted all of a sudden. Big teardrops fell from my eyes. What? Why? Am I crying?
先に言っとく。 俺はサトシのことは何も知らない。みんなが隠してたからな。
隠してたってわけじゃ。
毎年起こる事件のこと隠してたろ。
それはケイちゃんを。
This is the scene from Onikakushi. Is Keiichi having a connection to himself from the other timeline? Is that what's happening right now?
怖がらせたくなかったってのか？それが理由で俺だけのけ者かよ。
いや、そんなつもりじゃ。
Mion didn't know what to say. She had tears in her eyes. Actually, it wasn't tomodachi no shinjiru. It's tomodachi o shinrai suru, which is mea culpa. Anyway, she thought she did me a favor. She didn't know why it turned out like this. She didn't want to make me scared of the village since I just moved here. What more reason did she need?
ミオンに直にダム現場で事件がなかったかって聞いたよな。ミオンはないって言ったじゃないか。バラバラ殺人があったのによ。
Dismemberment, real
嘘
though.
つきやろ。
ごめん。嘘ってわけじゃ。
仲間ってのは隠し事なんかなしだろ。そうだろ。じゃあお前らは仲間じゃない。
What are friends? What are friends? What were friends to me? They were my true friends. They really cared about me. They were so nice to me and helped me feel at home in this village. I couldn't have been happier. Everything was great, wasn't it?
ケイちゃん、そんなのって。
Mion seemed like she didn't know what to say. Her eyes looked moist. It was hard to believe she was really crying like this. It wasn't like Mion at all. I could feel her pain. She was in pain because she didn't know what I was blaming her for. She looked so sad, but I didn't notice her pain. I thought I was her friend. I didn't understand her feelings. I didn't trust her. I just used the word friends, but I didn't do anything like what friends were supposed to do.
そうだった。俺はクズだったんだ。ミオンはミオンだったんだ。俺どうしてミオンを疑っちまったんだ。どうして。
ケイちゃんさ、最近元気ないよね。
都会から引っ越してきたんだもん。きっと今頃になって疲れが出てきたんだよ。それで風邪をひいたんじゃないかな。
そっかそっか。じゃあ栄養をつけさせてあげないとね。バッチャが今日おはぎを作ってるんだよ。いくつか分けてもらってケイちゃんへのお見舞いにでもしてあげるか。
Is this where they stick a needle in it?
ほんなみよ、手を洗んとね。おいやレナちゃん、一つやってるんかい。
へえ、おはぎ作りって面白そうですね。レナも一つだけ作らせてもらおうかな。
Wait, wasn't it mochi beforehand? What did they say this was? Ohagi. Hold on. Oh, yeah. Ohagi or botamochi. Botamochi. So, same thing.
よいしょ、よいしょ。
そうだそうだ、いいこと思いついたよ。
なにみーちゃん。あ、その小瓶何かな。
甘いおはぎだけじゃ退屈しちゃうだろうからね。うち一つにはクリティカルヒットでタバスコを混ぜておいてあげよう。
I think I misremembered it because I remember specifically calling it like mochi. I think when I named the episode for it or the VOD for it on YouTube, I called it like the mochi scene or something instead of the ohagi scene. Anyway, that's right. That's what happened. They brought ohagi for me to help me get better. They only tried to cheer me up. Why did I get so scared of them? Just because Mion knew I had lunch at Angel Mord, I grew terrified of her.
ケイチくん、顔色悪いよ。もう横になった方がいいと思うな。
そうだね。私たちはもう帰ろう。
They just wanted to cheer me up with a joke. But because I looked so serious.
じゃあね、ケイちゃん。
Right, so this is probably what happened on this side. No. No, it's not that he couldn't find the needle because it wasn't real. This is a different timeline where things are happening differently. And there was an actual needle in the Onikakushi line, and not this one. Please get better soon, because Shion did not exist in the Onikakushi timeline, as far as we know. I hope we can hang out in the club together tomorrow. That was a normal way of saying goodbye.
明日、学校休んじゃ嫌だよ。
First of all, have I ever visited any of my classmates who were absent with a cold? No, I haven't. I've never done such a nice thing to anybody because it's too much of a bother. But they did that for me. I understand visiting a friend in the hospital, but I just caught a cold. But they came to visit me with ohagi so I could get better soon. I should have been thankful to them and said, I'll get better soon, I'm sure I can come to school tomorrow, so I'll see you then. That was what I was supposed to say. But what did I do instead? I locked the door. I closed the door and locked it as if I was rejecting them. What was I so scared of? What was I so afraid of? Why didn't I say any words of appreciation to my friends who cared about me? I was just so scared of the ohagi they brought for me. What was I thinking? It was impossible that there was a needle in one of them. There wasn't actually a needle at all. It was all in my head because I had to read some manga about someone putting needles or razor blades in people's foods. No, Keiichi, there was one. It scared me so much that I believed it could also happen to me for some reason, and I thought there was a needle in the ohagi. You were so stupid, Keiichi. Why would your friends put a needle in your food, in the food they brought you, only to make you get better? It was crazy to think like that. Even if there was a needle in one of them, I should have thought that it was some kind of mistake. I should have believed in my friend's innocence. That's what a true friend would do, but what did I do? I threw the ohagi that they spent so much effort making on the floor. Why? Why did I do that? I got along so well with them. I moved to Hinamizawa and I made friends for the first time. They were my best friends. Meeting them was the most wonderful experience of my life. I'd probably never have another one like that for the rest of my days. I knew that, but I got scared and doubted them. They noticed that I was acting odd. That's why they called the manager Idia. They brought a sedative that might help me relax, so I could rest and get better. That's why they carried me to my room. Mion just wanted to make it fun. She's the kind of person who expresses her goodwill by making a joke out of it. Yeah, I don't know about all this. No. I knew that better than anybody. She knew Idia would roll up my shirt to check my heartbeat with a stethoscope, so she was just trying to draw graffiti on my shirt, just like she did to Tomitake, as punishment for the game he lost. Yeah, but he fucking died. Yes, that's why Mion took a felt marker out of her pocket. A felt marker. She brought a marker from home because she wanted to do something funny. She tried to cheer me up by making me take a punishment for fun rather than nursing me, because that's just what Mion is like. She went to the trouble of bringing a felt marker to my house, just because she wanted to cheer me up. Mind you, so far none of this has happened during this playthrough. I'm pretty sure he's remembering what happened in Onikakushi and trying to be rational about it. Which, my god, Keiichi. Irena held me down tightly, and Mion came closer to me to write something on my shirt. Mion whispered the words she was going to write on my shirt. I heard them. I heard them clearly. I heard what she was going to write on my shirt. I hope you get well soon, Mion. I heard them. Then why? I should have known she wasn't going to do anything to hurt me. Then why? Why did the marker look like a syringe to me? Why did I think that Mion was going to kill me? It was impossible. It was impossible. Why? Why did I misunderstand that Mion was going to kill me? Ah! The numbness of my head receded, and slowly I felt blood start to run through my entire body again. How long was I squatting down there? For a few minutes? Or a lot longer than that? As I looked up at the clock, the hands weren't moving at all, as if they had stopped while I had my eyes closed. Really? Actually, give me one sec. Okay, sorry. The atmosphere in my room wasn't filled with insanity like it was earlier, but it was quiet and gray. Rena wasn't holding me down. Mion wasn't about to give me an injection. Was all of that just some kind of illusion? There was no sense of presence other than myself in that room. It was an extraordinary experience, the kind I'd never had before. I was there with Rena and Mion. I doubted my sanity for a moment, but at the same time I felt some kind of relief too. The scary incident was just an illusion after all. Neither Rena nor Mion would have done something such a terrible thing to me. Tears started forming in my eyes. My emotions were running high. Why? It wasn't a question of why the tears were forming in my eyes. Why? It was a question of my sadness. Why did I feel so sad? Don't know. Don't know. You don't know? What do you mean you don't know? You do know. I was so stupid. What the hell was I doing? I was so pathetic and helpless. Mion just tried to cheer me up, that was all. I liked her so much, she was my best friend. She was older than me, but she hung out with me like we were the same age. She was the first one who came to talk to me in class. She was so nice to me, but Mion was lying down in an unnatural position near the window. She was covered in dusky red blood from her head to her chest. The red fluid splattered on the wall was Mion's. What had I done? What had I done? I would never forgive myself.
みんなのこと本当に友達だと思ってたんだぜ。
Why? Why did all this happen? There was nothing fun in my life at my old school. When I talked to anyone, it was only ever about my chances of passing the entrance exams at the schools we wanted to go. My life was shaded in gray. Friends to me were rivals and enemies to vie with for a school recommendation and test scores. My friends here taught me just how unnatural that was. This whole month was a blast. We raised the roof over lunch and our club activities and the festival. A warm liquid flowed out from my eyes. To my surprise, it was my tears. I didn't have any obligation to cry for them, but I couldn't stop it. Even though they attempted to kill me, even though they almost killed me, I couldn't forgive the memories we made during the past month. Or were those fun days fake? Was it an act that they kept playing perfectly to set me up until today? Yes. Was it only me who believed that they were my friends? Yes. It couldn't be. Rena and Mion, they were my friends for real. Those happy days couldn't have been just a performance. Rena and Mion must have been forced by somebody to kill. Mind you, again, sorry to interject. Keiichi is thinking about the events of Onikakushi right now. But the events that happened in Onikakushi did not happen to Keiichi right now. He's talking to Mion, whom he killed in Onikakushi. He was held down by Rena, who was gone by this point in Onikakushi. These events have not happened in this quote-unquote timeline. Or that an extraordinary existence called Oyashiro-sama possessed them and took over their consciousness. No matter what it was, both Rena and Mion were my best friends. I was stupid. I was such a fool. Such a fool. Such a fool. Such a fool. It wasn't making any sense at all. He killed my best friends. They were my best friends. Then why didn't I trust them? Why didn't I listen to them? I beat them to death. Who did I think I was? I made it sound like I didn't do anything wrong. I felt like everybody went crazy except me. I was such a fool. It was the other way around. Of course it was. I was the only one who went crazy.
ケイちゃん
俺はなんてことをしてしまったんだよ。
バカみたい。
なんてこと。
Mion was still alive. I have a memory of beating her to death because I couldn't trust her. But that's a memory from a non-existent, different world. So it's all but confirmed now that Higurashi has multiple timelines. But even though it happened in a different world, I killed Mion. And I didn't realize how deep that sin was. I even thought until now that Mion was at fault for being killed.
どうしたんですのケイチさん。
わかんない。ケイちゃん、落ち着いて落ち着いて。私は生きてるよ。ケイちゃんになんか殴り殺されてたまるかっての。ねえ。
そうですわよ。ケイチさんごときに遅れを取るようなのは我が部にはおりませんでしたよ。
違うんだ。違うんだ。
Mion and Satoko looked confused, having no idea why I was crying, but not Rika. But I couldn't help myself. I learned just now that I could earn redemption by confessing my sin, but I could never earn redemption for this, not from Mion. No matter how much I cried in this world, nobody could give me forgiveness, and so I could never earn redemption for this sin. Right then, Chie-sensei came in and noticed me crying. You wouldn't see a teenage boy crying like that very often. Chie-sensei asked me what was going on, but at that moment I couldn't hear anything. Mion and Satoko looked confused. They didn't know how to explain the situation. Rika approached me in the midst of my sobs.
ケイチは覚えているのですか？
Everyone but Rika looked confused.
レナとミーを殺したことを。
そうだ、俺が殺したんだ。殺したんだ。なのに俺は何の罪も認めずに、まるで自分は被害者のつもりで、死ぬ最後の瞬間まで仲間を呪って恨んで、血がいっぱい出て、そして結局何の後悔もなく一人で勝手に死んだ。
I clawed at my itchy throat in a phone booth. I didn't notice my sin, and I died
ケ
alone.
イチ、あなたの罪に気づきましたのですか？
気づいた。こんなにも今頃になって俺は気づいたよ。ここじゃない、別のよく似た世界で俺はなぜか仲間たちに疑心暗鬼を持って殺してしまったんだ。仲間たちは俺に救いの言葉をかけていたはずなんだ。なぜそれに耳を傾けられなかった？どうしてだよ。
I didn't care if people were staring. I just kept crying. I wanted to transmute my sin to tears in order to squeeze it out of me. But the tears that were coming out of my eyes weren't my sin. They were just tears of regret for doing something irreversible. At that time, I felt something touching my head. I opened my eyes and saw Rika patting my head gently. I didn't need any comfort. I didn't deserve any comfort from Rika. But the words she spoke to me weren't ones of comfort.
ケイチを許しましょう。ケイチは自分で自分の罪に気づきましたのです。それはとても偉くて普通ではありえないことなのです。だから 誰も圭一の偉さがわからなくて、それを許してあげることはできませんのです。でも僕にはそれを許すことができます。僕には圭一の凄さがわかるのです。
リカちゃん。
私はだってこれはありえないことなのだもの。あなたが別の自分の罪に気づくなんて。なのにあなたはそれに気づけた。それはきっとこの地上に具現するどんな奇跡すらも霞むほどのもので、信じられないくらいに尊いもの。
Didn't understand anything Rika was saying. Now I'm a little confused, because what the fuck is Rika then? She's supposed to be... I assumed all of this was like a Groundhog Day scenario for her. So it could be that, yeah, I mean, it is Rika who is going through all of this every single fucking day. Up until the point where she's killed and everything resets. Is she supposed to be literally that? Just some overseer that is here to literally observe the sins of those in Hinamizawa? And she can only like stop repeating these days or these years if they have the epiphany that Keiichi just had? But I felt like she's the only one who understood that impossible memory that I had.
なら今のあなたにならわかるはず。リュウグウレナがどういうことになっているのか。
ああ、わかるぜ。あの時の俺と同じなんだ。仲間のことを信じたくて信じたくてしょうがないのに、信じられないんだ。どんどん自分がおかしくなっていくのに、そいつがわからなくて世界の方がおかしくなったって信じてやがるんだ。どうすりゃ救えるかなんてわからねえよ。わからないんだ。だって俺はダメだった。結局死ぬまで、いや死んでも気づけなかったんだ。それをレナに気づかせるなんてどうやって。救えないよ、救えない。俺がそうだったからよくわかるんだ。どうやったってもう救えないんだ。
Calm down, Keiji. I did fail. But that didn't mean Rena would too. There was no excuse not to save her because I thought she'd fail. After all, what did Rena do back then? I was totally going mad, but she risked her life to save me. In my room, in that world, I had beaten her many times with a metal bat. But she was smiling. She knew I was scared, and that's why she smiled for me. I beat her so many times her arms were broken and her forehead was cut open. I remembered. Rena didn't block her head, even at the very last moment. She opened her arms towards me, like she was looking for a hug. I think maybe that's how Keiichi interpreted it, but if you have broken arms, they're gonna be splayed to the side. Probably. Like, that's more than likely, like, the last position that they were in. Maybe she was trying to, you know, cover her head, but she couldn't, because her arms were broken, and she's like, fuck, well, this is the end for me. And Keiichi just sees this as, like, he literally says, I broke her arms. And she didn't even block her head, even at the very last. Like, what the fuck is this, Keiichi? Yeah, no shit, she didn't block her head. But I still doubted her, and raised the metal bat up high. Rena told me then that it was okay.
私を信じて。
My friend still told me to believe in her. She told me to trust her, but I still didn't. I lost it and attacked her. She was in danger. She was actually killed. But she didn't even block her head. Instead, she used her arms to reach out for me. Rena continued to say those words until the moment she died. Trust me. Please trust me. She risked her life to save me. Until the very last moments, she kept telling me to believe in her. But I didn't listen. For so long, I truly believed that I didn't do anything wrong.
リカちゃんに許してもらえて少し心が軽くなった。でもやっぱり俺の罪は同じ形で滅ぼさなきゃならないんだ。レナの目は俺が覚ます。
Rena risked her life to save me. She cared about me until the very last moment. She trusted me. She believed that her words would reach my heart, so she kept saying them. Until I cracked her skull. I don't care if I die. Rena died for me. I can die for her too. I was such a fool for failing to understand my friend's feelings. That's why I didn't understand what she was saying. But Rena might be different.
この世界はもう狂っちまった。でもだからといって諦めていいなんてことはねえんだよな。諦めるってことは信じないってことだ。俺はレナを、仲間の絆を信じるぜ。だからまだ間に合うんだ。惨劇は回避できる。運命には抗える。俺たちはあがく。そして掴めるんだ。そのさ。
Oh. Rika nodded with a serious look on her face, and she put her hand in the pocket of her shirt.
ケイチ、
Take the syringe, Keiichi. You need to sedate her.
私も諦めない。この世界から希望を失ってたまるものか。私は数えきれない失敗に疲れ果ててた。だから世界が狂い出すことにあったから。もうレナがどうなろうと知ったことではないと言っても、それは間違いだった。戦おうとする意志がこんなにも美しく神々しくて、そして運命すらねじ曲げかねない奇跡が起こせることを知った。だから私はあなた、もう一度戦おう。何度でも戦おう。その先の未来に至れるまで。リカとケイチさんが何の話をしてるのかさっぱりわかりませんでしたよ。覚えていないのは当然なのです。ケイチがすごいだけなのですよ。私の高尚な脳みそではさっぱりでしたよ。
Rika touched Satoko's forehead to hers.
でもいつかは思い出してあげてください。あなたが抗えぬ不幸の袋小路にとらわれた時、ケイチはあなたを救おうと全身全霊をかけて戦ってくれたこと。
Okay. So that's what I was thinking of. And since Rika just mentioned it, it could be that it is a loop between three individuals. Keiichi, it should be Keiichi, Mion, and Satoko. And I guess Rena at this point. We had Keiichi's loop the first time, where in Onikakshi, we had Mion and Chion's loop in Watanagashi, and then we had Satoko's loop in Tatarikoroshi. None of them understood what was going on, but they all had a very special event happen. In the last chapter, in Meakashi, Shion go through, or well, Mion go through her arc, and you know, like what happened to her and all that. Here we have Keiichi going through the events of Onikakshi, quote unquote, again, except this time he actually breaks the cycle. And here, Satoko is basically telling her, hey, when you relive the events of Tatarigoroshi, accept Keiichi. He's looking out for you. He's not gonna kill you with the hatchet that he's dragging when you see my corpse later. That's what she's referring to, I assume.
ケイチさんが ですの？眉唾でございますわよ。ね、圭一。
Marika looked at me, smiling as if waiting for my agreement. I wasn't sure if I could risk my life for Satoko. No, I was sure. I had risked my life for her. Satoko was my friend. If anybody tried to make her unhappy, I'd beat them up without hesitation. I'd risked my life to save her. There might have even been a world like that. I nodded to Rika. Rika nodded back to me, looking happy.
前原くん、何かありましたか？
Tia-sensei realized I'd finally calmed down and she asked me
いえ
that.
なんでもないんです。騒がせてすみませんでした。それよりミオ。
何？
I walked towards her. Mion stepped back, not knowing what was going on. She bumped into the blackboard.
何、ケイちゃん。マジな顔でどうしたの？
Oh. I held Mion tightly. She still didn't know what was going on and her face turned red. Crying on her shoulder, I told her the following.
すまなかった。本当にすまなかった。
何がよ、ケイちゃん。おじさん、本当に何のことかわかんないよ。
わかんなくてもいい。わかんなくてもいい。わかんなくてもいいから。本当にすまなかった。そして、おはぎ。うまかったぜ。本当にうまかった。元気が出た。だから、俺、明日からちゃんと学校に通えるから、また明日も、学校で会おうなって、それが、言えなくて。今日まで、感謝の言葉が遅れて、本当にすまなかった。俺はミオを、いや、仲間を誰だろうと、二度と疑わない。二度とだ。絶対にだ。だからミオ、あの日の俺をどうか許してくれ。
Mion must have had no idea what I was talking about. Of course, I didn't either. I didn't understand what I was talking about. But my sin wasn't forgiven yet. I needed to confess my sin in order to receive her
ミオン
forgiveness.
が命を懸けてくれたことを俺は知ってる。だからいつかミオンに何かの不幸が訪れたら、俺は絶対に命を懸けて助けるからな。絶対だ。約束する。
ケイちゃん。照れるな。
She is blushing. That's kind of cute, but of course he's referring to the events that happened in the last chapter, where you know, he's gonna try to save Shion, because he's talking to Shion right now. So unfortunately, this falls on deaf ears, and maybe that's why that loop can never close. Anyway. Mion's face was bright red. She didn't know what was going on. Satoko was blushing too, with a confused look on her face. But Rika and I understood everything. We weren't going to accept the tragedy. We couldn't give up just because the world was going out of order. We were going to fight against fate till the very last moment. Mion fought for me. Rena fought for me. That's why I was going to fight for Rena. And just like she did for me, I was going to risk my life to save her. Oh boy. The summit was being held at a traditional Japanese restaurant in Shishibone City. When a black car stopped in front of it, 3 burly cops got out of it, followed by Oishi. They were welcomed by the Sonosuke Corps members who in equally black suits. Fuck. It was something you didn't see every day.
今日はお招きいただきまして光栄です。遅刻しちゃって申し訳ないですね。
お客人、ご案内いたします。
Actually, hold on. Let me just make sure I'm still alive. I saw OBS dip like crazy for a moment. Yes, we're still good. Okay. Jeez.
どうぞこちらへ。
There was a sign saying reserved at the entrance. Oishi and his subordinates were taken inside. Wait, let me just make sure. Yeah. They walked through the restaurant's pretentious landscape garden, and they came to the gorgeous Japanese-style entrance. Oh? A woman in a kimono was waiting at the entrance as well. As was Kasai. Isn't this Shion's mother? They look so fucking vile and disgusting in this art style. A literal fucking nightmare. Holy shit. Anyway. Upon seeing the police officers, they stopped chatting and bowed deeply. The woman in the kimono was Mion's mother, Akane.
いやーどうもどうも園崎社長さん。本日はお招きをいただきありがとうございます。
ようこそいらっしゃいました。ご多忙中のはるばるのお越し、心より感謝いたします。
いえいえ、今日はごちそうになりますよ。ここの料亭は湯葉が有名ですからね。ね。どんなごちそうか楽しみです。それから葛西さんもお久しぶり。直接会うのはだいぶ久しぶりになりますね。
ご無沙汰をいたしております。
まあなんかこの度はお互い戦争状態に突入しちゃってるようですが、白黒を穏便に大人のルールこっちゃ全面戦争はいつでも大丈夫ですんで。
いえ、そのようなつもりは毛頭。
そりゃこちらもやりたかはないです。あんたが粘ると血の雨が降るって評判ですからね。私もいい年なんで、もう流血沙汰はごめんしたいところです。
Obviously, this was a meeting between people who hated each other. The tension in their words indicated that it wasn't likely to be a friendly meeting.
それではご案内いたします。
Also, this is supposed to be a restaurant, but this is the background that they used for the Sonozuki family household. If you look at the background here, yeah, it's the same one. But I guess they wanted to use like a, I don't know, a traditional Japanese style interior, which there are restaurants out there that do look like this, where you walk in and it's basically like someone's house from like 300 years ago. Anyway.
どうぞこちらへ。
主催自らのご案内、痛み入りますよ。
そうそう。招待状の名前は私で出させていただきましたが、今日の主催は本家でございます。わけあって招待状の名前を変えさせていただいたことをお詫びいたします。
本家。防弾チョッキを着に戻ってもいいですかね。ね。
On the other side of the door, there were several tables, and Mion was sitting at one of them. Mion is here. She fucking hates Oishi. Since Mion was still young, her uniform functioned as her formal dress. Still, it looked strange with both the police and the Corps members in black suits.
これはどうも、園崎家の次期当主のお嬢さん。
I mean, you know this, Oishi.
今日は お招きくださり光栄です。
本日はようこそお越しくださいました。まずはおかけになってください。
Mion politely welcomed the police, undaunted even though they were older than her parents. Mion gave Kasai a look and he tapped on the door. The waitress who had been waiting behind the door started bringing out drinks.
おいさん、一体こりゃ何のつもりっすかね。
さてね。まあ、ここは舌鼓を打たせてもらいましょう。ここの湯葉は有名ですよ。
They started drinking, but the tension continued for a while. Mion made the waitress and the other members of the Sonoseki Corps leave the room, and soon only Oishi and his subordinates Mion, Akane, and Kasai were left in the room.
さて、今日はどういうお話ですかな？
Akane nodded and began speaking.
本日は皆さんとの間に生じている誤解について解かせていただきたく、この
ほう、誤解と申しますと？
発端はとてもさまつでございます。ここにいる葛西が竜宮レナとの個人的事情により会見を求めたのです。よってこの度の件は葛西辰義と竜宮レナ個人間のこと。園崎組は関与しておりません。
This is very weird.
個人的事情って何ですかね？片木の竜宮さんと極道の葛西さんにどういう個人的な接点が生じるっていうんです？
葛西。
はい。僭越ながらご説明させていただきます。
Kasai told the police officers that he happened to meet Rena at a coffee house in Okinomiya. He explained that Rena found something he lost there and that she offered to bring it back to him.
ちょいと無理がございませんかね。まあ100歩譲って落とし物の話を信じてもいいですよ。その後がちょいとおかしくないですかね。竜宮レナを探して組の若い連中が動員されてるって聞いてますよ。
それに関しましては、この私めの手落ちでございます。竜宮レナさんが遅くになっても帰宅されないのを家人が心配されていたので、繁華街で見かけていることがないかどうか若い者に聞かせたのですが、その際に
おうおうおう、ちょいと待ってくださいよ。
ちょいと待って。
こんな割烹まで呼び出して、そのヨタ話を信じろっての？あんた、うちらの商売をなめてんの？ん
Oishi looked a lot more like a member of the Yakuza than the real Yakuza did. Sorry. Oishi threatened them with a nasty smile, and it piled all the more tension onto the atmosphere of the room.
おいさん、まあまあ。
Kumagai tried to make him stand down. Officers with hot tempers pair with others who are good at calming them down, just like how Yakuza do. Oishi backed off with a grin. Kumagai took over, continuing from there.
それで、園崎家さんはどうおっしゃりたいわけですか？
Right, I forgot. Kumagai does have a sprite in the console version, so we'll have this for a little bit.
竜宮レナと葛西辰義の個人的問題だから民事に介入するなとおっしゃりたいわけで、そういうわけにはいきません。竜宮レナは警察で保護させていただきます。
Mion opened her mouth for the first time in a while.
警察は竜宮レナを保護なさる理由をお聞かせください。
I don't think they need to explain this.
そりゃ決まってるじゃないかよ。
Yeah.
あんたらが狙ってるからだよ。
Oishi answered bluntly, but Mion remained nonchalant. That must have made him all the more annoyed.
どうして当方が 竜宮レナを狙っているとお思いで？
そりゃあんたの胸に聞きゃいいだろう。ご自分のその胸に。
おいさん、本日は皆さんの誤解を解くための会合です。もちろん耳を貸されないのもまたご自由かとは存じますが。
ほう。我々が何の誤解をしていると？
竜宮レナの持っている高野美代のスクラップ帳についてある重大な誤解をされております。
The officer's expressions grew stern all at once. All of a sudden, she had gotten straight to the point.
竜宮レナの保護は彼女が高野美代のスクラップ帳を持っているから。
Oishi and his subordinates glared back at her without saying a word, making it obvious that her guess was right.
葛西、
Akane gave him a look and he left the room. However, he shortly returned, carrying a black suitcase. Every one of the officers assumed that there was a tremendous amount of money in the suitcase and that the Sonosuke family was trying to buy them off. Kasai opened the suitcase and showed the contents to the police.
これは。
No way. I don't believe it. But here we get to see an HD version of these tips that we usually get.
高野美代のスクラップ帳です。残念ながら竜宮レナに手渡したと思われるものは含まれておりません。これを本日の魚にいたそうかと思います。
These are the ones that she gave to Shion, probably. Or Mion thinking she was Shion.
中身を拝見させていただいても構いませんか？
ええ、どうぞ。お話はそれを読んでいただいた後で構いません。必要でしたら人払いもさせましょう。
いえ、それには及びません。
The cops produced latex gloves from their pockets, put them on, and took one of the scrapbooks out of the suitcase. There were more than 10 of them in there.
それらは高野美代の死亡の際に沖宮の自宅から発見したものです。
What do you mean we found them in her house after she passed away? Oishi and the others desperately turned the pages of the well-thumbed scrapbooks.
これ間違いなく高野美代のなんでしょうね。
間違いありません。
おいさ、もしこれらに類するものを竜宮レナが持っているとするなら。
And also, hey, Lambda, thanks for stopping by over on the Twitch side.
おそらくは竜宮レナが持つスクラップ帳もそれらに類する内容でしょう。
Oishi looked stunned by the contents of the scrapbook. He started turning the pages faster, then closed the scrapbook roughly.
ここにあるスクラップ帳、全部がこんな中身なんですか？
ええ、そうですよ。納得ゆくまでご覧ください。
The other officers also rapidly turned through the pages. They weren't reading them, just flipping through. They took one scrapbook from the suitcase after another and flipped through the pages thoroughly.
おいさ、
Or roughly.
こんなのめちゃくちゃです。たちの悪いオカルト小説ですよ。冥界と現世が激突して霊魂が流入した？これを証拠として採用しろって言うんすか？
No.
ああ、そっちは冥界の仕業なんだ。俺のは地底人の仕業って書いてあるよ。
This one is about classified weapons of Nazi. This is about the legacy of the Mu continent. This is about, that one is about Aussie, the mysterious creature in Onigashchi swamp.
おそら
Aussie
く竜宮レナが持つスク
instead
ラ
of
ップ帳には
Nessie? Oh my god.
皆さんもよくご存知の寄生虫説が記されてるのだろうと察します。
The police were dumbfounded. They couldn't believe what they were seeing. The other officers were shooting glances at Oishi. They hadn't said anything to him, but they never really believed in the story of the parasite, let alone of the bioterrorism. Yeah, they mentioned the Mu continent. But Oishi had believed it and told them he had proof. None of the scrapbooks in front of them said anything about parasites, but it was easy to assume that the contents of one scrapbook were no different in nature from another. In other words, all of them were just crappy occult novels. How do they translate that? Oishi appeared unable to accept the fact that was facing him. But now that he was actually looking at it, it was too difficult to ignore. Mio Takano was an occult geek who had laughable ideas about the legend of Onigafchi. But Rena took them seriously, and so had Oishi. The other officers could no longer stop themselves from laughing at the ridiculous scrapbooks. Oishi glared at them and they stopped laughing. The main reason Oishi took the story of the parasite seriously was because the Sonozuki family was apparently after Rena for the scrapbook she had. Plus, Takano, the owner of the scrapbooks, was killed. Because of these two reasons, he believed in that occult B novel. Oishi was frustrated without a doubt. He has to accept that he was wrong. Oishi was eager for any information that could help him solve the series of mysterious deaths of Hinamizawa before he retired. A combination of a number of factors made Takano's ridiculous theory become highly credible to him.
いくつかお聞きしたい。高野美代はどうして？
Why are they going to confess to that right now, Oishi? And to you.
高野美代についても富武二郎についても当家では一切関知しておりません。
I never mentioned Jiro Tomidake.
そりゃそう言うだろうな。自分のことを嘘つきという嘘つきがこの世にいるわけはない。
あらあら大石さん。当家で始末したなら死体が出るとお思いで。
Mion wore a cold smile. She had said too much. She zoomed in. No. Akane cleared her throat as if to condemn the statement and made Mion shut her mouth. Oishi glared at the young successor, but he knew she was right.
じゃあ、竜宮レナをなんで追ってるんだよ。
初めから追っていないと申し上げております。確かにそう見えてしまう誤解が生じたことはこちらのミスです。その点につきましては私
The reasons which made Oishi take Rena's delusion seriously collapsed one by one. Mion and Akane looked at each other. They must have decided to let Akane speak. She did so firmly.
当家からのお願いを申し上げさせていただきます。当家ではこのような世まいごとの内容に踊らされて警察と事を交えるのは望むところではありません。伝え聞くところでは県警防対本部の三海氏が公安部と調整をされていると聞いております。何かのさまつな口実をきっかけに当家に関連するすべてに対し一斉捜査を入れられるおつもりとか。
That had been at Oishi's request. Oishi took Rena's story seriously and he wanted to find the research facility that was developing the parasite. He was intending to use it as proof of the potential bioterrorist attack. But as he had no idea where to start looking, he tried to conduct simultaneous raids on all the facilities the Sonozuki family owned in the entire prefecture, in cooperation with a task force for gang groups and public safety. Normally, the circumstantial evidence he had wouldn't be enough to get their cooperation. In fact, public safety doubted Oishi's source because they hadn't heard of any potential terrorist attacks. They trusted their information network. But Oishi took advantage of his long career and his old friends, and he managed to get them to cooperate. Oishi's face broke out in a nervous sweat. Needless to say, he realized he was completely
当家
wrong.
もダム戦争の当時はいろいろとご迷惑をおかけいたしましたが、すでに昭和も60年代を前にし、時代の移り変わりを感じております。そんな中、当家もまた 弱きを助け強きをくじく任教団体でありながらも、時代に即した平和的な路線を模索しているところです。そんな中、警察の一斉捜査を頂戴しては手前どもの面目が丸つぶれでございます。
あんたんとこの面目なんて知ったことじゃないよ。叩きゃ誇りが出るんだ。一斉捜査は決行しますよ。
誇りが出れば結構ではございますが、出なかった場合、いくら大石さんといえど決して軽んじれない責任問題に発展するかと存じますが。
上等だよ。牛と全面戦争するか。
それをお望みでしたら、それもまたよろしいかと。どうかお気が済むようお仕事をなされてくださいませ。当家はいつでも受けて立ちますので。
Akane Sonozaki didn't betray Oishi's expectations. Although her right to become the successor was taken away, Akane had been through a lot more than Mion. Oishi couldn't back out now, but he knew it was a fight he probably couldn't win. Kumagai butted in and tried to calm him down.
一斉捜査を控えることに対する見返りは？
Mion answered this time.
双方の友好の証として、そのスクラップ帳を皆さんに献上いたします。そのスクラップ帳があれば、まだ高野美代を出しに矛先を引っ込めることもできましょう。
These scrapbooks proved how ridiculous Mio Takano's theory was. Takano was dead anyway. Oishi could show people these scrapbooks and say he was fooled. He could still pretend the whole raid thing never happened. He might have to take responsibility for it, but if he didn't back off now, there'd be no doubt that he'd face a hopeless mess. If he was going to back off, it was now or never. The administrative staff at his station weren't exactly fond of him. If he made such a huge mistake right before his retirement, people who'd been looking for a chance for revenge would cut his pension with glee. His pension was decided by multiplying his base salary by a certain number. If they cut his base salary, there was no way he could avoid a big deduction.
おいさん。
He decided to back off. It was hard for him to admit mistakes at his age. He grimaced with anger.
あとはクマちゃんに任すわ。ちょっと飲みすぎちゃったみたいです。私はちょいと縁側で夜風に当たってきます。失礼。
Oishi stood up quickly and left the room, making a lot of noise as he walked. Kasai closed the door, left open. The door was filled with silence again. At that point, Kumagai opened his mouth.
園崎家さんの言い分は了解いたしました。警察としても一斉捜査が及ぼす各業界への影響は本意ではなく、それによって市内の平穏を維持するため、今後とも警察と園崎家で連携していくことを確認したいと思います。よってこの度の一斉捜査は見送らせていただきます。
ありがとうございます。園崎家当主お領に代わりまして深く御礼申し上げます。
約束に従い、このスクラップ帳は警察でお預かりします。
No worries, Billy. Thanks so much for stopping by. I really appreciate it. hope your stream goes well.
それから条件が2つ。
賜ります。
1点目は、この場にないスクラップ帳を園崎家が入手した場合、速やかに警察に提出すること。2点目は、竜宮レナの身柄を確保した場合、速やかにその身柄を警察に引き渡すこと。
2点目は認められません。竜宮レナは妄想に取りつかれた一少女に過ぎません。当家で速やかに身柄を確保した上で、しかるべき治療を受けられる医療機関を手配します。これは当人の権利でもあります。
その点につきましては当方も主張を引けません。当方には高野殺しを含めて竜宮レナに尋問する権利があります。 重要参考人としてです。容疑者としてではありません。
I was like, why the fuck did she appear behind her? But it's because she's whispering. It's such a weird, like, you know, layering issue. But anyway, Akane whispered to Mion. Mion in turn nodded and began to speak.
わかりました。2点目の条件を了承します。ただし、当方からも条件を追加します。竜宮レナの権利保全のため、当家から弁護士を派遣します。竜宮レナへの尋問はすべて弁護士立ち会いの下で行うこと。
了解しました。ただし、一点確認を。園崎家からの弁護士が意図的に派遣されないことによる妨害は認めません。警察は竜宮レナの身柄を確保した後、直ちに尋問を開始します。
当家も問題ありません。ただし、竜宮レナの身柄確保時には直ちに当家へ連絡をすること。
可能な限り早く連絡するようにいたします。
Akane cut in.
尋問をあらかた終えてから電話されても困ります。身柄を確保した時点でご連絡をお願いします。ここいらは互いを信頼した上での善意の取り決めでございます。どうか夢保護にされることがないようよろしくお願い申し上げます。
わかりました。双方による善意の取り決めです。遵守に誠心誠意努力いたします。
Akane and Kumagai glared at each other for a moment. Surprisingly, Kumagai was very calm. He was always in the shadow of Oishi, who was loud and noisy, but he had as much guts as a superior did. Oishi was good at taking care of matters in a rough and threatening kind of way, but Kumagai was good at negotiations like this. The meeting ended, and the police stood up from their seats. The tension in the room had finally ceased. Kasai put the scrapbooks back in the suitcase and handed it to Kumagai. Kumagai looked at Kasai, nodded lightly, and took what was offered to him.
イタリー製の最高級カバンです。今日のお土産に含まれますので、どうかお持ちになってくださいませ。
いえ、お約束ではスクラップ帳のみをお預かりすることになっております。カバンは後日、園崎組事務所へお返しに伺わせていただきます。それでは失礼します。園崎家当主お涼さんにもどうかよろしくお伝えください。
The officers left after bowing to Mion. After making sure that the police had left the hallway, Mion sighed heavily and finally let go of her tension. She spread her feet on the floor, flapping the rim of her skirt.
いやー、肩が凝っちゃったよ。お母さんがやってくれればよかったのに。
バカだね。あんたの方が肩書きが上なんだよ。こういうのは年じゃなくて肩書きなの。葛西、中井に行ってビールでも持ってこさせて。あと外の若いのも呼び入れて何か冷たいのを振る舞ってやりな。
The grunts it. It's funny.
ビールだけでよろしいですか？
ああ、この子はダメ。オレンジジュースでも頼みな。
子供扱いして。肩書きが上でも全然大人扱いしてもらってないよ。
いくつになってもでっかい子供だよ、あんたは。それはそうと、今回の一件、お父さんがだいぶ手回ししてくれてるんだよ。よーく感謝しときな。葛西もね。あんたも肩着と会うときはもうちょい気を利かせな。
みっともない限りです。
しかしさ、あの大石をコケにするとはレナちゃんもやるじゃない。あんたの友達はつくづく大物が多いね。今度ぜひ母さんにも紹介してよ。お芝居でも一緒に見に行きたいね。葛西、今度レナちゃんに会ったらぜひそう伝えておいてよ。その時また物騒な話を吹き込むんじゃないよ。
も もちろんわかっています、姉さん。
Can you imagine Rena joins the fucking Yakuza? She joins the Sorozaki family? With that, they successfully dispelled the magical power of Takano's scrapbooks. The whole mess shouldn't grow any larger. The only remaining problem was Rena. Where could she be hiding? Again, that's assuming that you believe that the scrapbooks are fake. What Oh! A secondary transition? Okay, normally we only have one. I don't think this has happened before. Or if it has, I think it only happened once. I thought we were finally done with the chapter, but I guess not. Before I went to bed, I headed to my window to close the curtain. And Rena's outside. I saw the shadow of a person near the porch. Who could it be so late? Well, I didn't have to guess who it was. There was only one person I knew who might come to see me so late. I opened the window and looked more carefully this time. I was right. It was Rena. She was just standing still under the light. I wonder how long she had been there for. If I double check. Okay. It didn't look like she was going to ring the doorbell. But why would Rena be at our house this late at night? She was just standing there. She seemed to be asking herself whether to ring the doorbell or not. For how long she had been hesitating in my front door. It looked like even... I just realized. During Onikakshi, Rena kept saying, "I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry." And she was standing outside of our window. What if the Rena and Mion, or at least Rena, from Onikakshi, had the same revelation that Keiichi had right now, a while ago in this chapter? It just hit me. Anyway, it looked like even standing was giving her a hard time. She looked very tired. I ran down the stairs, put my sandals on, and rushed out of the house. Rena looked surprised to see me, even though I came out after making a lot of noise.
Rena!
She looked relieved to see me for a moment, but then she soon glanced downward and looked sad again.
お前、いつからここに突っ立ってたんだよ。
わかんない。夕方、ちょっと過ぎくらいからだったと思う。
Rena must have been staying somewhere outside for the last 2 days at the very least. And it wasn't like she'd been camping for fun. She'd been in a state of high tension the whole time, believing that someone was trying to kill her. Rena looked utterly exhausted. She seemed to have taken care of the deep scratch that she made on her neck the other day with some large band-aids. The band-aids had cute pictures, but that only made the wound on her neck look more painful. I saw some band-aids soaked with blood on her arms and body too. I could tell that she made them herself. She had more scars than she had last
とに
night.
かく中に入ろう。この2日間、ろくなものを食べてないんだろ。
When I tried to take her in the house, she refused with a vague expression on her face. It wasn't that she didn't want to go into the house. It was more like she had to refuse because she thought she didn't deserve it.
もうね、ダメなの。今のこの瞬間も、私の全身の中で、ウジ虫がうごめいてて、かゆくて、かゆくて、溢れ出し。
なあ、レナ。多分それは何かの病気なんだ。とりあえず今夜は俺の家で休んで、明日の朝一番で監督の診療所へ行ってみないか。監督ならレナの微妙な立場を分かってくれるから、誰にも内緒で診察してくれるよ。
自分でもわかるんだよ。富武さんがどういう最後を遂げたか、今ははっきりとわかるの。私は必死にそれを我慢しているだけ。
Rena believed she was given some kind of suspicious drug that made her claw at her neck to death just like Tomitake did. She had convinced herself that it was going to happen. She wouldn't hear anything else right now. But she really wanted somebody to help her. She wanted help. But when someone tried to give her a hand, it looked like the hand of the devil. If this was some kind of disease, what a horribly depressing disease it was.
私ね、どういう最後になるかわからないけど、多分もうそんなに長くないと思うの。
そんなことねえさ。無敵の部活メンバー竜宮レナがそんな程度でくたばるかよ。
ありがとう。それでね、死んじゃう前に圭一君にどうしても謝りたかったの。
謝る？何をだよ。
私昨日すごくいけないことを言って圭一君を傷つけた。
She must be talking about last night. She trusted me, but when Oishi told her about my past, she felt betrayed. And after that, everything I did out of goodwill seemed like the opposite to her. I know what it's like. I once felt the same way about you, Rena.
私もね、昔引っ越してくる前、とても悪いことをしていた。いっぱい。
そうか。そうなんだ。
圭一君みたいにおもちゃの鉄砲で撃つのなんかと比べ物にならないよ。
Yeah.
金属バットで頭が割れちゃうくらいに殴った。みんな大怪我だった。他にもね、学校のガラスとかいっぱい割って歩いたり、それからね。
No. I know. But I don't care about any of that. You did that before you moved here. That's why you stopped being Reina Ryugu and became Rena after you moved here, right? To me, you're my best friend who's very kind, thoughtful, and fun. That's the most important thing. I don't care who you were before.
ね、私ももっともっといっぱい悪い。圭一君のこと仲間じゃないなんていう資格全然。
それは俺もなんだ。俺も最初レナの過去のことを聞いて恐れた。
そっか、知ってたんだ。
Rena laughed sadly. She seemed shocked to find out that I knew about her history when she thought I didn't.
でもだからなんだよって思ったぜ。引っ越してくる前にレナがどんな大悪党だとしたって、それでレナはいろいろと泣いたり笑ったりしながら人生を積み重ねてきて、それでひなみ沢に引っ越してきて誰にも恥じなくていい生活をしてるじゃねえかよ。前の町で悪いことがあったとしたってレナはそれを悔いているならどうでもいいことだったんだよ。その結果竜宮レナってやつが尊敬できる人間に成長できたならどうでもいいことだったんだよ。
I should have noticed it earlier. Rena is Rena. That's why she's Rena Ryugu. I couldn't understand that simple thing when she said she wasn't Rena.
レナも聞いたろ。俺も悪いやつだった。バカだったんだ。なんてバカなことをしたんだと後悔した。だから引っ越しは人生をもう一度やり直すいい機会だと思ったんだ。だから俺はひなみ沢では自分で自分が好きになれる前原圭一だったと思ってる。それはレナもなんだろ。茨城でどういう生活だったかなんて関係ない。ひなみ沢にいる竜宮レナが大事なんだ。だから竜宮レイナが何者だろうと俺には全然関係ないことだったんだ。
Without interjecting too much, it's really interesting that, like, you know, these events are playing out the way they have been. One thing that I mean, I don't think I've mentioned this on stream, but I tend to have, like, very weird and unique interactions in my own life, right? Like in my personal life. And I mean, like, whenever I go out, like, I'll have just people, like, say weird shit to me. Like, I had a friend once who I would tell him about all the weird shit that would happen to me in public, and he wouldn't believe me. While we were hanging out, we were having lunch at our university. We were in like the lunch area, and like I was telling him about all this shit, and he's like, "No way, dude, that doesn't happen to you. I don't believe you." And like, no joke, 2 minutes later, some chick came up to me, pointed at me, called me Dave Mustaine, and then walked away. Dave Mustaine is the lead singer and lead guitarist of Megadeth. She was pointing at the shirt that I was wearing. It was not a Megadeth shirt. I can't remember what band shirt I was wearing. I think it might have been Anthrax or Overkill. My friend then turns to me with his mouth slightly agape and says, "Wow, you weren't fucking kidding." The reason why I'm bringing this up is because, like, all of the events that have been happening, a lot of events that have been happening in Higurashi, as we've been reading through them, have also in a way been occurring with someone that I know. Where, for example, like a bit ago, where Irena's like, it looks like she wanted to enter, but she can't. She felt like she didn't deserve it, right? There's like someone that I know that kind of is going through a lot of similar things like these. And we've had like a recent like conversation about like talking about our past and stuff like that, and them thinking that I wouldn't accept them because of their past or because of who they were or who they are. And like, I've explained to them that, I mean, like, their past doesn't really concern me too much. I mean, I know who they are now, right? And like this entire interaction with Irena, the way Irena's been acting recently, the whole, like, everything that we just told her, and everything that we've just been told, like here, like I thought moving here was a pretty good opportunity for me to start over, and so on and so forth. It doesn't matter how you lived in Ibaraki. The important thing is that you're Irena Ryugu. You wanted to be in Hinamizawa, so I don't care about whoever Irena Ryugu was. In other words, I don't care about your past, I care about who I'm talking to right now. And like the same thing has been occurring again with this individual that I've been talking to, and it's just interesting that all this shit just lines up for some reason. Every single time it happens. Every single time I'm interacting with someone, or every single time I play something or read something, it always becomes immediately relatable to another situation that I'm in. So I hope that one day that person will probably come to understand that, you know, of like what Rena's going through. I'm sure she'd be able to relate if she was reading Higurashi. She'd probably see all this stuff happening and realize, oh man, I really am a lot like this character. And maybe she would come to terms with the fact that, hey, you know, she can still be accepted despite, I don't know, whatever's going on in their life. But either way, back to what's going on here.
そうだよね。そうだよね。
新しい自分をやり直せる機会は何回あったっていいんだ。そんな機会があるから俺たちは何回も失敗しながら傷つきながら人生に一度や二度のつまずきなんてつきものなんだ。だからそんなのにへこたれないで俺たちはどんどん成長していかなくちゃいけないんだ。だからそんなたくましい人の膝に残るかさぶたを見ておぞましく思うなんて最低のことだったんだよ。
It doesn't matter how many times you fall. When you go through a lot of pain, you can be kinder to others. So, I don't need to know about your past. And even if I knew, it shouldn't have changed the way I treated you. But we were fools. We couldn't understand that until we went through things like this ourselves. Mio knew that from the very beginning. We were such fools. We hurt each other and made each other cry.
だから竜宮レナはこれまでも今もそしてこれからもいつまでも俺の最高の仲間だ。 レナが辛い時、きっと俺が助けるから、俺を信じてくれ。
ありがとう。圭一君を信じるよ。
It's very tragic, but what she said isn't true. She probably didn't mean to lie, but I knew she didn't trust me from the bottom of her heart. My words didn't reach her. I knew that because Rena kept telling me to trust her that time. She kept saying those words. Well, I kept hitting her with a bat, but they still didn't reach me.
私ね、もう多分長くない命だと思うけど、こんな素敵な圭一君がいるひなみ沢を救うために頑張るよ。
No, Rena.
奴らなんかにこの村を乗っ取らせない。みんなで楽しく過ごしていた日々を取り戻すために私は戦うよ。奴らの陰謀を必ずやっつけてみせるから。
She said that she trusted me, but she didn't understand anything I was saying. Even if I kept telling her that the conspiracy was Takano-san's delusion, it wouldn't reach her.
ありがとう、圭一君。レナを許してくれて。
I do. I forgive you. So, please forgive me for what I did to you.
きっとひなみ沢を救う。だから圭一君、力を貸して。圭一君だけは信じられる。圭一君となら救えると思ってる。
レナ、レナ。
I knew how bad of a corner Irena was driven into. If I was her, I'd be walking around with a baseball bat, thinking every single person around me was my enemy. Irena cared about me so much, but I saw her as my worst enemy. But Irena, you still trust me, even when you're driven into this bad of a corner. I couldn't understand what you were saying. I beat you to death while you kept telling me to trust you. But you're different. You still trust me. You are so...
どうして泣いてるの？
許してくれ。許してくれ。俺はもう絶対にレナを裏切らないから。レナのことを信じるから。だから許してくれ。
何のことを言ってるのかよくわかんない。圭一君はいつもレナのことを信じてくれてるよ。だからレナも圭一君のことを信じてる。信じていいんだよね。圭一君だけはレナを信じてくれるんだよね。
Tears fell from my eyes. I sobbed and nodded again and again to answer her. Tears welled up in Rena's eyes too. Before I knew it, we were putting our foreheads together with tears in our eyes.
あのね、私ね、この戦いを終わらせる方法を見つけたの。
本当か？
うん。勝ち目のほとんどない方法だけど、私にできる一番の抵抗だと思う。
レナ、それがどんな方法かは知らないけど、それが終わった後、俺たちはみんなでまた楽しかった元の日々に戻れるんだよな。戻れるんだよな。そうじゃなくちゃ嫌だ。俺はお前をこの場から行かせない。
大丈夫だよ、圭一君。元の幸せな日々に戻るための起死回生、逆転の最後の一手なんだから。
I don't know what she had on her mind. It began with a delusion and it'd end with a delusion. If I encouraged her too much, she'd twist it into an attack on her. I was like that at the time. I took Rena's goodwill as the complete opposite thing. So I stopped denying her story. This was Rena's battle. It was her lonely battle, She had to fight against her own delusion. The more we tried to help her, the more we drove her into a corner. But I would always be there for her. Whenever she needed help, she could reach me. I wanted to let her know that, so just said one thing.
俺は最後の瞬間までレナの味方だからな。絶対にレナの味方だからな。
Even if I told her to trust me, I knew she couldn't right now. I knew that, but I told her those words anyway. Even if she couldn't believe them, and if she tried to smash my head in, I'd say those words. I'd keep saying them until I died.
ありがとうケイチくん。明日でね。きっと全部終わるの。きっと私たちは勝つよ。そしたらまたみんなで楽しく部活をしよう。みんなで私たちが一番楽しかった時を取り戻そう。
Although she wished to regain our happy times so badly, I couldn't get rid of the darkness that controlled her mind.
じゃあ私はこれで行くね。明日の準備があるから。
To tell the truth, I didn't want to let her go. I wanted to stop her even if I had to grab her arm. But I couldn't stop her like that. If I grabbed her arm, she wouldn't trust me anymore.
待てよレナ。明日の準備って。
内緒。ケイチくんに協力してもらうこともあるかもしれないけど、その時はレナを助けてね。
ああ、当然だぜ。
I nodded strongly so she could tell that I was still on her side. But I didn't know what her come-from-behind victory meant at this point. The first thing I could think of is that she's going to invade the house of the Sonozaki family, which she thought was her enemy. So, I called Mion to warn her after Rena left. Mion laughed bitterly and said, "Why does everybody want us to be the bad guys so much?" But she understood the situation.
いっそ悪役に徹しさせてもらってもいいよ。レナが妙なことをしでかす前に踏んじばって病院に担ぎ込むのもいいかもしれない。
本当に最後の最後まで行ったらそれも仕方ないかもな。でもレナを信じたいんだ。最後のギリギリまで。あいつはこんなに心が追い詰められても俺をまだ信じるだけの心の強さがあるんだ。俺とは違う。だからきっとレナは妄想に打ち勝てるはずなんだ。
最近ケイちゃんとリカちゃんが何を言ってるのかおじさんちょっと分かりかねるんだよな。なんか最近ヘビーなことでもあったわけ？
You can say it happened lately in a way. I killed Mion a couple of days after the festival.
悪いな。意味のわかんない話ばっかりしちゃって。それよりレナのこと見損なったりしないでくれ。な。
そんなわけないよ。誰だってたまには心が風邪をひく時があるって。レナのこれもその程度のこと。まあちょいと熱は高いみたいだけど、すっきりケロッと治ってすぐに笑い話になっちゃうって。ケイちゃんが思ってるほど事態は悪くなってないよ。大石の大バカ野郎は自分の誤解を認めた。例の件は発生自体にも気づいてない。だからこのままレナの空騒ぎでしたってことで決着できる。
そうなのか？空騒ぎで決着できそうなのか？
そういうことで決着させんのが園崎本家次期当主のミヨン様の手腕じゃないの。某料亭でね、大石とおじさんが1対1で対談してちゃんと誤解を解いてきたわけよ。大石はタジタジ。いやー、おじさんもなかなかやるね。
Mion bragged about her achievement, laughing loudly. I could tell she was exaggerating a little. Anyway, compared to the sense of impending doom Rena seems to be feeling, the others seem to be taking it rather easy. It was all up to Rena now. If she understood everything, she could go back to the peaceful world she wished for. We were waiting for her to reach out to us, just like we did by the abandoned car at the garbage dump that day. Rena, I couldn't win, but I know you can, because you're the one who told me to have faith until the end. So I know you can win. It didn't mean that she could literally win the last battle she was talking about earlier, but Rena would win. She'd win and she'd regain her peaceful life. Okay. I think this might be it. Okay, last night is the new tip. So let's read that real quick, and then we're gonna probably call it here for today. So, last night.
もう明日なのです。
ん？ああ、私たちの命日？
今回も同じ顛末なのです。
そうかしら。よく似てるけど、いろいろと違うところもあったわ。圭一、前のことを覚えてたし。
そんなことはありえないのです。覚えているわけ、いや、知っているわけはないのです。
あんたが絶対にありえないと言ってくれればくれるほど。
どうせ今回もおしまいです。
おしまい。
もうすぐ終わる。全部終わる。そう。日暮らしの泣く頃に。
She said the title! Everything will be over when the Higurashi no naku koro ni. Was it all going to end anyway? The more often you throw a die, the closer the total will get to the average. When you throw a die 100 times, even if a miracle happens and you get a 6 twice or 3 times in a row, that's a fact of statistics. But when you throw a die 100 times, the total number ranges from 100 to 600. The more you throw, the greater the likelihood that number will converge on the average. But the truth is, the more you throw, the more possible outcomes you create. There are 500 different futures you can create by throwing a die 100 times. There are 5,000 different futures you can create by throwing a die 1,000 times. There might be one future among them that enables you to actually finish this never-ending game of dice. Keiichi showed me a miracle, and it taught me that it's not a waste of effort to keep throwing the die. Don't give in to something like an average.
イラつく背中を見せるわね。どうせ今回もダメだろうって、そういう哀愁でいっぱいよ。ダメだろうと思ってる。でもね、最後のサイコロを投げるまで私は諦めない。圭一が教えてくれた。今回は何かが違うの。だからそれを信じてみる。
リカは本当に強いのです。
まあね、あんたよりはずっと若いし。
リカ？
Rika, you're a strong person. Yeah, I know. That's because I'm a lot younger than you. What the fuck? I thought the one with the serious voice was the older Rika.
こんな時間に起きてて、夜更かしはダメでございましてよ。ごめんなさいなのです。寝苦しかったので星を見ていただけなのですよ。もう寝ますです。そうなさいませ。おやすみリカ。おやすみなのです、さとこ。
What a crazy end. But yeah, I do believe that tomorrow we're all gonna be slaughtered. I'm pretty sure that's what's gonna happen. It's gonna be a very crazy fucking chapter. But we will find out more about that tomorrow. In the meantime, let's go ahead and get ready to swap on over to the ending screen.